Hello, my fellow quilters. So if you're anything like me, you probably like to indulge your quilting obsession even when you're nowhere near your sewing machine. So I've compiled a little list of inexpensive and sometimes free ways to celebrate your love of quilting. If you end up wanting to buy yourself a little quilting treat, please consider shopping through the links that I've gathered for you in the description of this video. And a great big thank you to everyone who does that. You're really helping me and supporting the channel. Also, I want you to make sure to stick around to the end of the video so you can see the free bonus item I've made for you. Now let's get started with the very first category, Quilting Games. This first game is called Patchwork, and I first discovered it at my local library, so if you don't want to buy it, you might want to check your local library and see if it's available there. This game is inspired by quilts. You get these little pieces in various different shapes, and you're sort of Tetrising them together on your quilt game board. There are buttons involved because apparently the game makers think that buttons are a big part of quilting, which has not been my experience so far, but they needed some sort of currency. So this is the 10th anniversary edition. There are so many different editions. The one that I played was the original, and it's not as pretty as this one. I'm just going to say that right out loud. So I believe this is a pretty popular game. I think I read that they sold 1 million copies, which is a lot, especially for a quilt-themed game. But this is the 10th anniversary one. There's also a doodle version. I think you are literally drawing on grid paper with this one, but I haven't played it. There is also Patchwork Express, which I imagine is a faster version, but I haven't played this one either. But I like that there are so many options for gameplay. The next game is the Rio Grande Quilt Show board game. In Quilt Show, quilters collect fabric cards which can be exchanged for block tiles. The quilters race the clock as they amass block tiles that they can combine into one or more quilts at a time. They can mix block tiles of a single color or a single pattern to make a quilt, and then 3 times during the game, when the clock reveals it's time for a quilt show, quilts are entered and prize money is awarded. I don't know about you, but I am intrigued. Here's some of what the pieces will look like. I really like the idea of building the quilts and everything and doing quilt shows. It's just very unique and interesting. So next up is Calico, and isn't it just adorable? Again, you will be making quilts. I think cats are involved somehow, but I'm not sure. I haven't played this one either. A cat. Very cute. And I think very interestingly, so this is what the board game looks like, there is also a complimentary video game, I believe for Nintendo Switch and Steam, maybe other consoles, but I'm not sure. Look how cute. You can play the game and you can pet the cats. So if you like mobile games or video games, this is definitely one to check out. And then the final 2 things I want to share in the quilt game category are a lot more low-key and low-pressure. They're just quilt puzzle games. They're great for, on-the-go gaming, like a road trip, on a plane, something like that. So we have this one, 100 Puzzles and Activities, and this one, More Happy Quilt Variety Puzzles, 60 plus, and this is large print, so that might be very helpful for people. So more puzzles to do on the go. Crossword puzzles, logic puzzles, minds, word roundups, word searches, crisscrosses, word scrambles. Okay, so that's what I have for you for quilting games. So let's move on to the next category, quilt books. First up is The Little Ghost Who Was a Quilt. Look at this sad little ghost. It's very cute. I wanted to highlight it first because it's almost Halloween, and it might make a good gift for a little one that you know, to help them get invested in quilting maybe, I don't know, but it's very cute. I think there's another Christmas themed one too, but I'm not sure. And remember, you can always check the library for any of these books that I'm going to mention. Next up is the Elm Creek Quilts, and this is a much beloved series. It has 24 books. That is a lot of books. They just keep going. They all have to do with quilts. Very interesting. I think the newest one is called the World's Fair Quilt. So definitely check these out. By Jennifer Cheverini, maybe? That might be how you say it. I don't know. The next one is the Quilt City Murders, which I think is so random and fun for some reason. They all take place in Paducah, Kentucky, where they have the National Quilt Show. They have the National Quilting Museum. Really interesting place to set some murders. And I think the main character, quilter and journalist Hadley Carroll, is the main character who ends up solving murders around the city. So I think you should definitely check that one out. Now that's it for fiction. So let's move on to nonfiction with Bisa Butler's portraits. Now I absolutely adore her quilts. I wish I could see them in person, but I never have. More's the pity. I love her use of prints too. It's not just solid fabrics that she's doing this really complicated portraiture with. There's just so much so much print going on, so many patterns. It just makes it feel so alive and so fresh. Absolutely adore it. So these nonfiction books that I am going to be sharing, they are not how-to books and they're not pattern books. They more have to do with inspiration or maybe exploring techniques that you haven't tried before. So just something to really get your creative juices flowing and really help maybe expand your quilt obsession. So this one is Modern Quilts, Designs of the New Century, and it's put out by the Modern Quilt Guild, and it takes you on a trip back in history to present day and just to see how quilts have evolved. It's just a really interesting look at modern quilts as we know them. Then we have Art Quilts Unfolding 50 Years of Innovation, breathtaking photos of 400 masterpieces, jam-packed with quilts, and then Masters Art Quilts Volume 2. I didn't find Volume 1, but I found Volume 2, and this one has the work of 40 of the most creative and talented quilters with approximately a dozen quilts for each artist. So that's another ton of quilts that you can look at and just dream about and maybe help inspire you to try new things. And then we're going to move on to coloring books, which I think is a very interesting thing. Coloring has become this huge hobby all on its own. If you color, you might enjoy doing some quilting coloring books. So there's this one, Modern Quilting Coloring Book, and this one, Barn Quilts. If you like all the fine details and watching things come together when you're quilting, then chances are you'll probably enjoy puzzles too. I know I have really enjoyed them lately, especially when I'm trying to finish an audiobook. I can put my audiobook on and start a puzzle or finish a puzzle. So I'm going to show you a little roundup of quilt puzzles. So these are G's Bin's quilts. Beautiful, love them. And they're all so different and vibrant. I love that. Then we have, this is more of a craft inspired one. Here's a quilt, and I love a puzzle with a cat. I don't know why. It just makes them so much better. Here's another one, nice bright vibrant patches. This one is more folk artsy. A quilt shop. I feel like I've been to this quilt shop before. Here's another one, 2,000 piece. I think this is the biggest one I have in the collection. And then this one is my absolute favorite, and I have plans to buy it for myself for my birthday. Here's another cat. I mainly want it because I want to recreate each of these quilts because they're so lovely. It makes me wonder if the designer is a quilter or not. I love this one back here. That would be so much applique. Look at that. So I want to do this puzzle and then make these quilts. So that is the selection that I have found. I'm sure there's many more, and if you know of some good ones, will you leave them in the comment section, because I'm always looking for more. For a nice free category, I wanted to include quilting podcasts. So admittedly, I don't actually listen to a lot of podcasts. I used to, but not so much lately. But they are a great way to get your quilting fix when you're away from your sewing machine, or even at your sewing machine too. I have personally listened to a Quilting Live podcast. This is a mother and daughter, and they have very good back and forth. It's not stilted or awkward. I think I follow one of the Inappropriate Quilters hosts, but I'm not sure. But there are just a lot to choose from here. So I would encourage you to take a screenshot if you're curious, if you haven't heard of all of these ones. So I've seen a British one, a bunch of American ones. This one is Canadian. Oh, Mel Gedroych Interesting. I saw her on the Great British Baking Show and on Taskmaster. I love Taskmaster. So this might be one I need to check out. Let's talk barn quilts. This is a weird category, I admit. You can't really buy it. This is like an adventure you need to go on to see barn quilts. But whenever I see one, it just is such a joy to me to see one out in the wild. There are a couple books I want to recommend. Following the Barn Quilt Trail, and maybe these should have been in the book category, but we move on. And then Barn Quilts, Folk Art to Modern Obsession. So these are these two books are sort of the history of barn quilts or where they started, that sort of thing. But you don't have to just randomly stumble across them. You can use this link, I'm going to link it in the description of this video, for barn quilts in each state. So you pick your state, let's do A through F. You'll have your state, your location, Northeast Alabama. This is Appalachian, North and Central Alabama, Wilcox County, that sort of thing. So you can choose whichever link is interesting to you, and then it'll take you to your barn quilt trail. So view the trail map. Come on now. And you can see ahead of time what they look like, but you also get a good view of where each one is located and how you can approach them in a logical way. Or if you're going from point A to B, you might see where you can veer off and see a barn quilt just for fun. This way, even on a road trip, you can have a little injection of quilting in your life. And it's just a little present to yourself. It might be annoying to the people you're with, but here's another example of a barn quilt trail. And this one actually doesn't show you what the barn quilt looks like. So it has a name, Larson's Sweet Corn, 5 leaves, but you don't know exactly what you're going to be seeing until you get there. Or I guess you can click on the icon and then you'll know. Oh, that one is really pretty, actually. Red, white, and blue. Love it. Oh, that's interesting. I think there's your sweet corn. Anyway, there is a lot to see, and it's my hope that there's a barn quilt trail near you that you can go check out. For the next quilting treat category, you're going to do some more road tripping because I want you to go see quilt museums. It's always a treat to see other quilters' work, especially if it's a quilt that has survived a couple hundred years till now. It's always amazing to see what they were able to do before they had all of the tools and resources that we have now. So I recommend you come to this quilt museums list, and it goes by state. And unfortunately, not every state has one. At least not on this list. If there is a museum that you know of that didn't make it to this list, please leave it in the comment section so other people can be aware that there are missing museums. The National Quilt Museum is definitely on my list because I really want to go to the National Quilt Week or the American Quilt Week or whatever it is in Paducah, Kentucky. I want to see that show. So you can go to their current exhibitions and scroll down to see what they're currently showing. So it looks like we have the National Quilt Museum collection. That's what they always have. And then Carol Breyer Fallert Gentry, A Life in Color, While I Yet Live, Matriarchy and Generational Exchange in Gee's Bend, and then SAQA Primal Forces Fire. Some very interesting categories. And that also has some upcoming exhibitions. Quilts of Valor, Charles Cameron, Latifah Safer, Janet Stone. Oh, they're just beautiful. I'd love to see any of these exhibits. 20 years of Tula Pink, interesting. That's for next year. So museums are great, but there's also another way you can see quilts out in the wild, and that is at quilt shows. So here is another list from APQ for events and quilt shows. You can go down by the month. We're in September now, and we can see Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Utah, Pennsylvania again, Washington, Vermont, Indiana, and so on. And you can find a whole bunch of shows, and then you can also read the description and see if it is the kind of thing that you are interested in. So some might just be quilts, some might have competitions, some might have lessons. This one has a silent auction, raffle basket, and mystery gift cards, food trucks. So give this list a good look if you're interested. And go on a quilting quest, because it's always fun. I love to go to quilt shows. The final category is movies and documentaries. And The Quilters, this documentary, is actually what inspired me to make this list, because it was just so refreshing to see quilting celebrated in such an unexpected way. So this is a documentary about men in a Missouri maximum security prison who make quilts for foster children. And it is so nice and heartwarming to see these men enjoy a craft that I enjoy so much. And it's just really nice to know that no matter how different our circumstances are, we have this love of quilting in common. So I highly recommend it. It's very quick. It's like half an hour long, and it's on Netflix if you want to watch it. The second movie on the list is How to Make an American Quilt, and I believe I saw this before I ever got into quilting, or it might have been around the same time. And I'm not going to give any spoilers, but basically there's a group of women making a quilt together, and you sort of go back in time to see each of their origin stories. It's a lot like, the Joy Luck Club. It's a lot like the Joy Luck Club, if you liked that format. So highly, highly recommend this. My copy is actually a used library copy, so you can check your library to see if it's available there, but more likely you're going to have to buy it new-ish, new or used. And here's the last movie. Unfortunately, there aren't a lot of quilting movies, at least not ones that I know of. And this one is more on the line of along the lines of a Hallmark movie, if that's your thing. I personally am not a big fan of Hallmark movies, but I'm tempted to watch this one this Christmas. So a fireman and a quilting teacher team up to make a Christmas quilt for Liam's sister's wedding. So check this one out. It is on Amazon Prime. And then the very last thing I have to share with you is this list of videos and little mini documentaries that I have curated that are all about quilting and the love of quilting. You're not going to find how-tos or step-by-step videos. This is more about the quilters and the art, and not about how to make stuff. So I'm going to make this playlist public for anyone who might enjoy that sort of thing. So go to my channel page to find it, and definitely leave links to other videos that you recommend that I can add to that playlist, because I want to just keep building onto it as I find videos. Anyway, that is the last thing I have for you today. I hope I gave you several different options to indulge your obsession with quilting, and let me know if you have any ideas that I missed, because I'm really curious. I am also obsessed, and I would like to feed my obsession. So let me know what I missed. Thanks for spending time with me today, quilters. If you want to support this channel and help me buy supplies and materials for future videos, please visit my Buy Me a Coffee page linked in the description below. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss upcoming videos. And I'll see you again real soon. Bye!